The plane had just begun its slow descent when I opened our family group chat. My fingers hovered over the keyboard longer than they should have, the cabin light casting a faint glow over my lap. Flight lands at 5 p.m. Can someone pick me up? I finally typed, pressing send before I could overthink it. The typing bubbles appeared almost instantly. My stomach twisted. It had been 3 years since I last set foot in Dallas. 3 years since the shouting match that left me crying in my childhood bedroom. 3 years since I swore I'd never beg them for anything again. My phone buzzed. It was my brother, Matt. His reply popped up on the screen like a punch. Depends. Are you still too good for us? A short laugh escaped my throat, but it wasn't amusement. More like disbelief. The businessman in the next seat glanced at me, probably wondering why a woman in a silk blouse and tailored slacks was smirking at her phone like she was about to go into battle. I locked my screen and stared out the window. Below, the late afternoon sun painted the clouds gold, like someone had gilded them just for me. My reflection stared back. The careful makeup, the diamond studs, the hair I had paid too much money to make look effortlessly casual. They had no idea who was about to walk back into their lives. And I wasn't sure if I was ready for them to find 3 years earlier I wasn't this woman in silk and diamonds. I was just a 24-year-old with trembling hands, standing in our kitchen while my family sat around the table, every eye on me. I got the job, I had said, my voice shaking despite how proud I wanted to sound. It's in San Francisco.
Full-time.
Marketing associate. It's everything I've worked for. Mom's fork clinked against her plate. Dad just sighed, the heavy kind that meant here we go again. You're really gonna run off to the other side of the country?
Dad asked, not even looking at me.
It's not running off, I argued, but my throat felt tight. It's my career. Matt snorted. Career? You're talking like you're some big shot already. You just want to get away from us. That one stung. It was exactly the fight I'd been dreading. I want to build something for myself, I whispered, gripping the back of the chair so hard my knuckles turned white. Mom's face was soft, but her words weren't. You're making a mistake, Lauren. Out there, you'll be alone. What if you fail? The lump in my throat threatened to choke me. I'd rather fail trying than stay here wondering what if, I said, finally letting the tears spill. When no one answered, I turned and walked upstairs. My suitcase was already half-packed. I had been planning for weeks. On my desk sat a letter from my old English teacher, Ms. Hayes. She had written it the day I graduated college. You have the kind of fire most people spend their lives trying to find. Don't let anyone put it out. I folded that letter carefully and slipped it into my suitcase. The next morning, I left before anyone woke up. The house was quiet, except for the sound of my own heartbeat. My last glance was at the front door, the same one I used to run through as a little girl, and I swore to myself, when I come back, it will be on my own terms. San Francisco was colder than I expected, not just the foggy mornings, but the way the city felt when you didn't know a soul. The first few months were brutal. My first apartment had peeling paint, a window that wouldn't close, and a mattress on the floor. I lived off instant noodles and free samples from the farmer's market on Sundays. But every morning, I woke up and told myself, you left for a reason.
Prove it.
My first job wasn't glamorous. I made coffee runs, scheduled meetings, and stayed late formatting PowerPoints no one read. But I paid attention. I learned. I worked harder than anyone, not because anyone asked me to, but because I had something to prove. And then came the first real break. My manager, Claire, sharp, kind, the type of woman who could walk into any room and own it, noticed me staying late one night. She walked over, handed me a cup of tea, and said, Lauren, you're wasting your potential making copies. Come to the client pitch tomorrow.
Sit in.
Learn. I did. And everything changed. I watched her lead that meeting with poise, answering every question like she'd written the book. Afterwards, she told me, you could do this. You just have to stop waiting for permission. I started volunteering for more, building campaigns, running analytics, pitching ideas. The first time one of my campaigns went live, I stayed up all night watching the numbers climb. tears running down my face. But I never posted about it in the family group chat. My updates were vague. Work's busy. Things are fine. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Let them think I was scraping by. I wasn't ready for them to see me yet. 2 years later, I had saved enough to start my own marketing consultancy. Claire became my first investor. "You're ready," she said, handing me the check with a smile. That first year was terrifying, late invoices, lost sleep, wondering if I'd made a mistake. But when I landed my first six-figure client, I sat on my apartment floor and laughed until my stomach hurt. Little by little, the life I had dreamed about stopped being a dream. I moved into a place with hardwood floors and big windows that filled with morning light. I bought myself a real bed. I learned to order wine without looking at the price first. I built something, not just a career, but a version of myself no one could dismiss. And I kept it all to myself, because part of me knew this day would come. The plane touched down at exactly 4:52 p.m. By 5:20, I was standing just outside baggage claim, rolling my sleek black suitcase behind me. My phone buzzed again. "We're outside," Matt had written. I took one last deep breath, checked my reflection in the glass doors, blazer crisp, lipstick perfect, and walked out. There they were, Mom, Dad, and Matt leaning against his old pickup truck like no time had passed at all. Except it had. Matt whistled low when he saw me. "Well, look who decided to show up." "Hi," I said simply, sliding my sunglasses onto my head. The ride home was quiet, except for Matt's occasional sarcastic comment, which I let slide. I wasn't here to fight. When we pulled into the driveway, I almost didn't recognize the house. The paint was more chipped, the yard overgrown. Funny how things look smaller when you've been gone long enough to grow bigger. Inside, the air smelled the same, a mix of Mom's lavender spray and Dad's aftershave. "So," Dad started, settling into his chair, "what exactly have you been up to out there, besides ignoring us?" I smiled politely. "Working." Matt snorted. "Doing what? You a barista somewhere?" I set my suitcase down and pulled out my laptop. If this was going to happen, I wanted them to see it, not just hear it. "Actually," I said, clicking open my portfolio, "I run my own marketing consultancy now." Here, this was our last campaign. Went viral on TikTok. This one was for a tech client, brought in over $2 million in sales in the first month. And this, I turned the screen so they could see, was our first $1 million contract. Silence. Mom blinked. Dad leaned forward, squinting at the screen like he couldn't quite believe it. "You own a business?" Dad finally asked. "Yes," I said, meeting his eyes. "A very successful one. I have 8 employees now. We just signed a partnership deal with a Fortune 500 company." Matt's mouth opened, then closed. For once, he had nothing to say. I closed the laptop and looked around the living room, the family photos, the worn sofa, the memories of arguments that used to make me feel small. But I didn't feel small anymore. "I know what you thought when I left," I said softly. "That I'd come crawling back. That I'd fail. But I didn't. I built something out there, and I built me." No one spoke. For a moment, I could almost hear Ms. Hayes's words echoing in my head. "Don't let anyone put out your fire." Mom's eyes glistened first. "Lauren," she whispered, we didn't know." "You didn't ask," I replied gently. For the first time in years, the room felt quiet, not with tension, but with something heavier. Awareness. I sat down across from them, crossing my legs slowly, deliberately. I wanted them to see I wasn't the girl who left crying. Matt finally broke the silence.
Okay, wow.
"I didn't think you'd actually pull it off." I smiled faintly. "You didn't think I could, you mean?" He winced, but didn't deny it. "Look," Dad said, rubbing the back of his neck. "We might not have handled things right back then, but we were just worried. It's a big world out there." "And I survived it," I said gently, "because I had to. Because no one here believed I could." Mom flinched like the word stung. I leaned forward, my voice calm but steady. "I'm not here to rub it in your faces. I'm here because I want a relationship with my family, but not the way it was before." "What does that mean?" Mom asked quietly. It means, I said, if you want me around, things have to change. I laid it out, one condition at a time. No more mocking my choices. No more acting like independence is rebellion. Respect my boundaries. When I say no, I mean it. Support each other instead of tearing each other down. And Matt, I turned to him. If you want a joke, make sure it's not at someone's expense. We're not kids anymore. He looked down, then nodded. I'll help where I can, I continued, but I won't carry anyone. If you want something, a better job, a better life, I'll show you how I built mine, but I won't do it for you. The words weren't angry. They were steady, full of a strength I'd fought hard to earn. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Mom reached for my hand. You're right, she said softly. We weren't fair to you. And I don't want to lose you again. Matt exhaled, leaning back. Guess I owe you an apology. You do, I said, but my tone softened. And I accept it. For the first time, it felt like we were on equal ground. Not me proving myself to them, just me being me. That night, after the conversations had slowed and the house had gone quiet, I stepped outside onto the porch. The Texas air was warm and heavy, the cicadas humming in the distance. I pulled out my suitcase and unzipped the front pocket. There it was, the letter from Ms. Hayes, edges worn from years of being folded and unfolded. I ran my fingers over the words I knew by heart. Don't let anyone put out your fire. I smiled, tucking it back carefully. For so long, I thought coming home meant admitting defeat. That walking back through this door would erase all the work I'd done to build myself. But tonight, I realized something. I wasn't coming back as the same girl who left. Inside, I could hear Matt's laugh, softer now, almost shy. Mom's voice floated down the hallway, asking if anyone wanted tea. The house didn't feel suffocating anymore. It felt possible. The next morning, over coffee, Dad cleared his throat. I was thinking, he said slowly, maybe you could look at my business's website. It's kind of a mess. I grinned. I'd be happy to. But we're going to do it the right way, and you're going to learn how to manage it yourself. He chuckled. Fair enough. As we said our goodbyes at the airport later, Matt hugged me first. Really hugged me. Next time you text the group, he said, half smiling, I'll pick you up. No attitude. Good, I said, smiling back. As I boarded the plane, I looked at my reflection in the window again. Same diamond studs, same silk blouse, but the woman staring back wasn't hiding anymore. This time, when I texted them, I wasn't just asking for a ride. I was showing them the road I built myself.